Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and tackle a problem we all literally face every single day. You know that massive want to do list you have? The one that's constantly fighting against your absolute zero free time? We all know the exact feeling, right? There's so much I want to do, but I just don't have the time. It's the classic story of modern life. We want to learn a new language, maybe write a novel, start a business, or finally figure out how to play an instrument. But time and, frankly, skill are standing squarely in our way. Well, today we are exploring a framework designed to completely dismantle that barrier. And that brings us to Josh Kaufman's book, The First 20 Hours. The core promise here is basically leaving all those tired excuses behind and tackling the absolute steepest part of a learning curve head on. Kaufman went on a personal quest to test the art and science of rapid skill acquisition, and what he found is pretty amazing. Acquiring new skills doesn't actually have to be a painful, drawn-out slog. It can actually be done in record time. So here's our practical roadmap for today. 1. The 10,000-hour myth. 2. The frustration barrier. 3. Rapid skill acquisition explained. 4. 4 steps to learn fast. 5. 10 principles of practice. And 6. What will you learn next? By the time we finish up this explainer, you're going to have a systematic approach to go from knowing absolutely nothing to performing a new skill decently well. Let's get right into section 1, the 10,000-hour myth. Because right now, our cultural understanding of learning is kind of warped, and honestly, it's keeping our goals as just unfulfilled dreams. That warped understanding, it really comes down to one massive, incredibly intimidating number: 10,000. Thanks to Dr. K. Anders Ericsson's research and Malcolm Gladwell's runaway hit book Outliers, we've all been completely terrified by this 10,000-hour rule. Seemingly overnight, this idea was everywhere. It basically suggests that if you want to master a new skill, you are in for a very, very long haul, requiring years of relentless, deliberate practice to be good at anything. For most of us who can barely set aside a few hours a week, looking at a number like that just makes us ask, why even bother at all? But here is the absolutely crucial point. 10,000 hours, that is strictly for world-class mastery. It is a study of expert-level performance. However, Kaufman points out that if you just want to perform well enough for your own everyday purposes, to develop what he calls capacity, it actually only takes 20 hours of focused effort. That's it. Just 20 hours to get over the hump and actually start enjoying what you are doing. To put that into perspective, think about this comparison. If you want to become the next Tiger Woods and win the PGA Tour, then yes, for sure, you are absolutely going to need to spend at least 10,000 hours deliberately and systematically practicing every single aspect of golf. But what if winning the PGA Tour isn't your goal? What if you just want to play decently, avoid embarrassing yourself, have a good time out on the green, and maybe hold your own at the local country club tournament? That target performance level requires a tiny fraction of the effort. We really need to embrace the idea of sufficiency. It's about quality, not just quantity. Moving right along to section 2, the frustration barrier. So, if it seriously only takes 20 hours of intelligent practice to reach that level of sufficiency, what's actually stopping us from getting off the couch? Well, the real obstacle isn't time, and it isn't intellect. It's completely emotional. Kaufman calls it the frustration barrier. It's that awful period of time where you are just horribly unskilled, and you are painfully aware of that fact. Let's be totally honest with ourselves, fumbling through your first guitar chords or typing at 5 words a minute is incredibly annoying. Many things just aren't fun until you are actually good at them. And because nobody likes feeling incompetent, it makes it so easy to just sit in front of the TV, scroll on your phone, and leave your desires completely unfulfilled. It's the classic trap. Why start something when you know you're going to be bad at it? All right, section 3. Rapid skill acquisition explained. Let's look at how Kaufman actually proposes we break through this emotional barrier with way less angst. Rapid skill acquisition isn't about becoming a grandmaster overnight. It is simply defined as 20 hours of concentrated, intelligent, focused effort to develop capacity. Listen, there is absolutely no magic trick here. You just decide what to practice, figure out the best way to do it, make the time, and execute. It's a beautifully systematic way of breaking down the skill and deliberately practicing the most important elements first so you can climb the steepest part of that learning curve as quickly as humanly possible. Which brings us to section 4, 4 steps to learn fast. Let's dive right into the actual execution and look at the 4 major steps you need to structure those 20 hours. It breaks down like this.
First, you have to deconstruct the skill into its absolute smallest possible subskills. Next, learn just enough about each of those subskills so you can self-correct and spot your own mistakes while you're practicing. Third, you've got to ruthlessly remove physical, mental, and emotional barriers that get in the way of your practice. I mean, if your phone is constantly buzzing, you aren't really focused, right? And fourth, simply put in the time. Practice the most important subskills for at least 20 hours.
Next up, Section 5, 10 Principles of Practice, because knowing those 4 steps isn't nearly as important as actually executing them. Remember, no practice, no skill acquisition.
Kaufman provides a super helpful 10-point checklist to cultivate what he calls a temporary obsession. Just run through this checklist before you start. First, pick a lovable project, something you're genuinely curious about. Focus your energy on just one skill at a time. Clearly define your target performance level. Deconstruct the skill, obtain the necessary tools before you even start, and eliminate all those pesky distractions. Then set aside dedicated time for practice. Create fast feedback loops so you know exactly how you're doing, and practice by the clock in short bursts, ideally just 60 to 90 minutes a day. And finally, emphasize quantity and speed. Seriously, don't worry about being perfect, just get the reps in. And finally, Section 6. What will you learn next? The really beautiful thing here is that this method is completely universal. It isn't just for academic subjects or sports. You can apply this to almost any hobby or professional goal. To prove this wasn't just a bunch of hot air, Kaufman put his own framework to the ultimate test. He literally used this exact same method to learn 6 totally idiosyncratic skills: developing a personal yoga practice, writing a web-based computer program, relearning how to touch type on a weird, non-standard keyboard layout, playing the incredibly complex board game Go, playing the ukulele, and, get this, even windsurfing. He tackled all of these starting as a complete beginner, committing to about 20 hours of practice for each, averaging 60 to 90 minutes a day. And guess what? He achieved his target performance in 30 days or less for every single one of them. So that brings us to the real question we all have to ask ourselves today. We now know that the 10,000-hour rule is basically a myth for everyday practical learning. We know exactly how to systematically deconstruct a skill to blast right through that frustrating emotional barrier. And since it genuinely only takes 20 hours of focused, strategic effort to perform noticeably well and actually enjoy yourself without all the fist-pounding frustration, go dust off that old wanna-do list, pick a lovable project, and make the commitment. What will you choose to learn next?